Good morning, everyone. Hopefully this thing is on and working. Thump, 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 thump. Just getting things set up. Oh, 3 a.m. Had a couple of those over this last stretch. It's rough. Oh. Mm.
Hey Clay, can you hear me now?
Yep, can hear you now.
Awesome, thanks. Seems like Discord doesn't like to work on my work computer for some reason. Something just the voice settings or something probably, but yeah, it seems like everyone can hear us now. It is getting cold in Sydney. Clay, have you been feeling it recently?
Wait, you're in Sydney?
Yeah, I thought you knew this.
I did not know this.
Oh, geez. I guess maybe because a little bit further away from the office, so I don't know what's come in.
I just got back to from Shanghai, so
Oh,
but yeah, let's dive into this. So there's a whole bunch to cover. I'm gonna try and get through all of it, but we shall see. So yeah, as I was chatting about, I have been in Shanghai, not this week, but the previous 2 weeks, working on site with the MindLoader team, which you guys can all see here. And whew, oh gosh, this is this is the old marketing text. Like I said, I was working on this right up to the end, but the trip to Shanghai was incredibly productive. Being on site let me dive in with the team and address so many issues. Luca is there in the middle, and basically did an amazing amount of work with the engineering team there on getting all of the Web3 features ironed out and set up. One of those new features is the Vault. So with the regional test launch read-only test, we ran into plenty of discovery. One of those pieces of discovery is when you have a boatload of NFTs, it becomes very difficult to make those systems work when you're dealing with some of the latency of blockchain, with the real time of gameplay, with just numbers. So there are some people who have wallets with not just hundreds, not just thousands, but tens of thousands of guardians. And that is a whole lot. And there are reasons that there is a cap on the number of guardians that you can have at any one time in active play. So thus evolved the Vault. The Vault is essentially a place where you can synchronize to Passport. It's that little button in the lower right. It will automatically synchronize at key points as well. And then once things are synchronized, you can move things from the Vault, which is essentially your Passport wallet. When you move them into active inventory, it doesn't take them out of your wallet. It just means that the game is going to recognize them as NFTs that you want to play with. And this is true for both Guardians and for things like guilds. So the Vault has solved a lot of the key UX challenges. I also think it introduces some. This is going to be a key point that we're going to need to walk people through just on how to work it and function. But with it in place, the experience is so much better with being able to target the NFTs that you want to interact with. If you've got a whole bunch, Crafting has gone through a major evolution. So as you can see here, the UX for anybody who's played in Friends and Family or the regional test is quite a bit different. We've made it much easier to interact with, and we've added a new sort of mode toggle. So you've got base level crafting, where you can craft all of your gear, and an advanced mode, which takes additional components that you get through play and through using factory items that have higher chances to roll big. And we've added promotion. So essentially, you can take rare or above items, take 3 of them, and you can merge them into one epic tier item. If you do a mixed tier, like I've got, the intelligence boots and agility dagger, those will then perform, like basically merge together into a random promoted item. If I put all shoes or all daggers, they basically will promote into that advanced item. This helps so much, particularly with blueprints being unlocked by stage, to basically go in, craft a bunch of gear, be able to pick what you want to equip, be able to more quickly, advance those things up to that legendary tier. Still a lot of play and in the mix to get there, but it has, I think, helped. I'm finding that I'm engaging with crafting on the test build so much more than I was previously, just because there is an ease to it now, and I know where I'm going. And if I want to target something specific, getting a wand for my int users, I can go and specifically get that through. Can take a bit of crafting to get there, but that has come along nicely. The other thing, it is a silly little detail, but probably one of the things that just really wanted to get done is, while I was there, one of my few check-ins is I went through and adjusted all of the icons in the game. So previously there was like a double border, which had them really tiny. Actually, you can still see one of the few places I wasn't able to hit with those crafting ingredients, where the icons just don't take up the full space. Did a pass on the game, everything from inventory to get those rendering at a larger scale. Just that one place that I didn't quite get to, which has really helped as well. Energy. So one of the things we've talked about in the past is sweeping, and all of that is in game. Probably going to rebrand it before launch, but essentially after you complete the story mode of one of the dungeons, you unlock dungeon challenge tiers. Each challenge dungeon is quite short, just 5 rooms. Once you complete that, you get rewards, and after you've completed the challenge dungeon, you can sweep it. So if you click the sweep button, it does a really quick animation of sweeping through, and then pops out rewards, which, if you're short on time, allows you to really quickly come in, spend the energy that you've accrued for adventure/story mode, and move on with your day. So in terms of overall pacing, being able to come in, get through crafting, get through energy sweeping, you can spend it so much more quickly than you can in regional test. Really pretty happy with where that's at. Could be even better, but yeah, it's in a really good place. The other major change that we talked about last town hall that is now in is ticketing. So crafting and adventure mode are both energy. Basically, these will replenish during the day, over time. All of the events, though, have gone to a ticketing system. So essentially, they will restore on a cadence. You'll have that many tickets for a day to go run those events. This has helped with all sorts of weird gaming of like maximizing the number of endless runs you can do for a specific course. It has simplified things. It has made the time commitment much more precise. Still perhaps too much for some people, but for that we've got other modes in the mix. One of which, speaking of, is Boss Rush. So essentially the Boss Rush mode will not be live at launch. It will go live 2 weeks after, and mostly this is just for event pacing and live ops. But Boss Rush is an alternative leaderboard mode where you go in and you fight a boss. The boss is essentially invincible. So the goal is to rack up as much damage on the boss as you can to increase your score. This leads to, like, this is not a good boss rush lineup, just to be clear. It changes the makeup that you will want for your Guardians. Obviously, if you're using your primary team because they're your strongest, that's going to give you good results. But as things evolve, being able to go in with Guardians that are targeted to, spike damage, this is where Assassins come into play more so than in Endless, will allow you to sort of get to the top of boss rush mode. And at the end, you've got your high score. Your high score is what counts. There isn't a cumulative scoring like in Endless. So you can come in, you can even just do one. You've got 3 tickets, or wait, 2 tickets? 3 tickets. Now I'm blanking on the number of tickets. 3 tickets to play. You can get through these very quickly. Just takes like a minute and a half to get through. So quick, easy, basically for those who want to compete at the high end but don't necessarily have the time to do all of the endless runs. Another update. So one of the things we're looking at is updating the core and Gen 1 Marketplace art. Our current image is on the left. We cranked through these really quickly with the change to Apple Store policy, allowing us to do the external sales. We think these can be better. We've got some alternatives on the right. If you want to drop any feedback into chat, more VFX, less VFX. Happy to hear it. For those who think we should keep what we got, you can throw that into. But this is on the docket as well. To just make sure that they look better in the marketplace when people go to trade their NFTs. Cool. Other general status updates on the trip to Shanghai. The other really key thing that came out of that is we did some really deep dives with the MindLoader team on all of the Web3 flows. And at this point, on testnet, everything is working brilliantly when it comes to the core tech and the function there. Some of the UX I would still like to improve. I think that's something that's going to continue to iterate moving ahead. But at this point, with a couple weeks to launch, when it comes to Web3 integration, we're locked in. I've got some slides from the AMA that will dive into some specific questions there, but if things come out, let me know. Global launch marketing is pretty much the same update as before. We have a bunch in the works for this. I've got my whole next week is lined up with very early morning calls and very late calls. I think I've got this on another slide ahead too, basically with people in media and with the esports teams. That's right. I talked about that on the esports slide, which will come ahead. To basically take them through everything GOG and get them prompted. We also have some additional slides talking a little bit about the global launch trailer, where that's at, and beyond. But the marketing team has been working really hard, and I think we will make a splash. I guess some of it will come down to exactly how charming I am in some of those media calls. Global launch reset. This is also something we talked about last town hall, but I have a little bit more info on just how all of this is going to go with the current regional test. So, GOG servers are set to go offline on May 8th. They will be down between May 8th and May 15th. This gives us a window of time to bring up the production servers for global launch, make sure that everything is functioning as we expect, go through some load testing, go through some key feature testing on mainnet on the production servers before we go live. All of those who currently have the build will not be able to play from the 8th to the 15th. Never fun to bring the game down, but this window is really important test servers, production environments, they're similar, but they're never quite the same, and having this will help ensure as smooth a launch as possible. Global launch timing. So on May 15th, we've got some key time zones here, but you can work out the rest. Very selfishly, on May 15th, launching in the morning AET, so we've got a full day for both us and our partners at MindLoader in Shanghai. Evening time for those on the West Coast in the States. Sorry for those on the East Coast. It's going to be late when things go. Founders on EA Enlightenment. This is a repeat of the slide that was basically up from the previous town hall. The thing that has changed is the GOG requirements for the legendary token. We have increased those based off player feedback. Marginal increase is something that could change in the future, but essentially everything else remains the same on that front. What's next? So in terms of launch, that's obviously the big thing. What's up next after launch is live ops. In the AMA questions, I'm going to go through some of the details there. I think the big thing that I can say with some clarity is when it comes to sort of like feature releases post-launch, we've got things planned out at a high level. But when it comes to specific dates, we've got targets, but we're currently in the discovery process on that front. So in giving you a precise roadmap, I'm not there. However, I can say things like the next major update to guilds is getting guild quests and guild power online. And that is something we're hoping we can get within like a 6-week window of launch. We want to fast follow on that. And then the next update after that, getting additional guild functionality in terms of some of those key pieces like crafting. We're trying to get some of these guild functionality pieces through in a fast follow approach. We want to continually evolve. It's what GOG has been set up for. And then we'll have the live ops schedule of events and Guardian releases. So we'll talk a little bit more about events in the slides below. But the team, after our time in MindLoader, we've got that high-level plan. We're just in the process of breaking it down. This is up against, of course, the fact that we're also launching the game. So a lot of things competing. As soon as we've got the roadmap more accurately locked in, we will share more. Probably doing a town hall not too long after launch. For those of you who haven't been this intimately involved in a game launch, anytime you're doing a launch, particularly with online functionality, there can be so many things that go so many different ways. I know that we're going to have bugs at launch. Things always evolve, particularly as you're starting to go to at scale. If we do hit big numbers really fast, servers will likely go down as we stress the limits of what GOG can handle. We will address those issues. We will fix, and we will be back up. But we've taken some of that into account with some of the planning too for the events in the initial release. We'll get through this in some of the AMA questions. So, Cracked Hearts. Will Cracked Heart altar recipe be live before global release? Yes, Cracked Hearts will be available to craft in the altar for global launch. We're currently targeting the week before global launch. Essentially, same day that the servers go down, May 8th. Cracked Heart recipe will go up in the altar if all goes to plan. Idols. When Epic Idol? That should be today. They're scheduled to be minted today. What is the utility of the Epic Legendary Idols? So essentially, everyone at this point knows the initial utility. Those who held a Legendary Idol after we distributed them received 100 IMX. Those that hold the Epic Idol when we distribute the second round will receive 10 IMX. Those were the primary pieces initially, for this first run, and then you've got a collector's item out of the mix as well. As I've said many times, however, the altar exists for recipes. Without the altar, we wouldn't have been able to do Cracked Hearts. Cracked Hearts wasn't in the original plan, but the altar sits to address issues like this. When it comes to the idols, they are perfectly poised to be in that mix for potential crafting recipes, but they don't have anything specifically queued at the moment. So, if you're looking to acquire more, do so at your own risk. This is not financial advice, but when it comes to recipes, idols in my head hold a place moving forward. It just makes sense. Gate.io AMA clarification. In the AMA with Gate.io, Chris mentioned there would be an item on the store you have to purchase to mint Guardians in Web3. Is this separate or in addition to the previously mentioned GOG requirements? Please provide more clarity and details on pricing structure for minting Guardians after launch. So previously, we had talked about minting energy. In the Gate.io AMA, I have not listened to it. Don't make me do that. I believe I said Radiant Seals. After some initial testing just internally, Radiant Seals and Radiant Souls were just too darn close in name. So we've adjusted the name of minting energy from Radiant Seals in that talk to Ascension Seals, because it's essentially what you use to ascend a Guardian from Web 2 to Web 3. So you will use Ascension Seals to ascend a Web 2 Guardian to Web 3, after which they are Radiant. That resource that we've been talking about is the same throughout, that minting energy. The reason for those who haven't followed the whole journey, that it's minting energy, Ascension Seals, whatever you want to call the formerly known as Prince resource, versus GOG, is we are not allowed to have GOG directly integrated into the app. If we did, we would not be able to launch on Apple in the Play stores, or if we snuck it in and they found it, they could take us down at any moment. So we've moved to this approach with intermediary. We've got more details on this in future slides when it comes to that request on information. So, Ascension from Web 2 to Web 3, how does this all work? So, the cost in Ascension Seals to ascend a Guardian depends on the number of Guardians that have been ascended or minted, essentially. So the cost increases, the number of Ascension Seals required, the more of that Guardian have been minted. The cost decreases as that supply decreases, though. Because it's not static, the cost to ascend will not be static. This is a balance with the overall economy. So as people ascend Guardians to Web 3, the cost to ascend will go up. At a certain point, it will just make sense to go buy the Guardian off the marketplace rather than ascending it in terms of just overall costs. But we expect that as people buy them, to either use to enlighten Guardians or to use to up the radiance of a Guardian, the cost will come back down and it should stabilize over time. It should be self-righting. Each Guardian has its own curve, so costs could be very different. One Guardian could have a bunch of supply minted, be much more expensive, another, less so. It's something that players will have to keep track of. It's also one of those things that, man, this is like ripe for a website. I don't think that we're going to get a chance to build it, but and I wonder if I should talk to engineering about just making this information more accessible for people to track, because it's going to be a lot to go through. Just in normal use, though, is like, I want to ascend a specific Guardian, I'm going to go look at that. I know other people want to play the overall game economy and snipe and target those that makes the most sense on. That's going to be a little bit more work at launch. The plan here is it is cheaper for players to purchase Ascension Seals using GOG via Web3 versus buying them with in-app purchases, using credit cards. 20% of all net revenue goes to the GOG buyback that then gets distributed through the rewards pool. When we go to launch, the only way to purchase Ascension Seals will be through in-app purchases. We are working on the Web3 flow, but we have not had the functionality delivered that we need to make the purchase in Web3 and deliver it into the app yet. So that's going to be a fast follow. Probably 2 weeks after launch is what we have in the mix at the moment. And I know that people are throwing questions through in chat. I will actually, I'll take those right now before I dive. Gnome asks, can you please confirm what is in for guilds at launch? So, gosh, I can't remember that right off the top of my head. I dropped a bunch of info on Discord when I was in Shanghai. I can go search for that. But essentially, the things that didn't make it, I can tell you what's not there, is chat and the Guardian power associated with guilds. Guardian power, guild power for Guardians, that system will come in that fast follow. Everything else that was in V1 that we've talked about in all the town halls will be in. Been testing and playing that. Tashi asks, will you remove access for the development testnet, GL testnet? It is unfair that others have access to the server while others don't. This is an unfair advantage that affects one's decision to buy or sell. That's an interesting one. We could remove access on GL testnet for anyone that we've invited via that. So like we didn't launch in all regions. We've got people that we invited in via our testnet. Obviously, we use that for testing. And with the build switching over from regional test to global launch, there are features in that aren't available on global launch. In terms of doing a full purge of that at this point, I'll talk to marketing about it. In terms of like the information, if people are using that for insider info, though, all of that is subject to change, so be careful with that. But I will think on that and get back to you. Cool. So Ascension GOG costs similar to buying on Marketplace. Will market price be a consideration? So the Ascension cost doesn't take a price into account. It's just quantity. So we expect that they will be similar because they should hit sort of like a balance point. That won't be there initially, but should steady in. And it is not part of the Ascension price structure. Cool. Last question I'll take before I get back into the slides. Why no guild chat, and how much longer are we expected to wait for a basic feature? Why no guild chat? Because we couldn't get it in time. How much longer are we expected to wait for a basic feature? So I hear you saying basic, but all features take time, work, energy, and testing. It is not actually a super basic feature. It's not one of those things you just pop in. It is on the roadmap, and will be delivered when we deliver it. But it's all a balance of all the different functionality in game. And looking at any one feature in isolation and basically being like, why don't we have this when we have another thing? It's all about capacity and through. I would love to have it in. I wanted to have it in for launch, but we don't, and that's where we're at. All right, diving back into Radiance and Enlightenment. Can we get more information on how Radiance works and yield for Radiant Souls when sacrificing different levels of Radiant Souls? So prior to launch, we've got the economy team working on a detailed guide for this feature. Radiance is essentially an optional progression path for Guardians. You've got two primary bits, Enlightenment and Radiance. Enlightenment is that star level of the Guardian. There's nothing to unlock it. People can do this in Web 2 and Web 3. How do you advance enlightenment? Well, the primary way is with duplicates. So all guardians can use duplicate guardians and faction souls to increase their enlightenment. Not every level of enlightenment requires duplicates. Some only require faction souls. Enlightenment is always 100% chance of success. So there's no rerolls. The stat increase per level of enlightenment is quite large. And if you sacrifice an enlightened guardian, you return faction souls, which you can use to enlighten other guardians. So one of the dynamics could be buying a guardian with a higher level of enlightenment off the marketplace simply to harvest the faction souls from it, or using it as a duplicate. Radiance, when you wait, no, that's not right. Sorry for the faction souls. Because Radiance, you require Ascension seals to up a guardian from basically Web 2 to Web 3 with Ascension seals. You can use Radiant duplicates or Radiant souls to increase the Radiance level of a guardian. The chance of success will depend on inputs. So the more souls you add into the mix, you can reroll with Radiant souls to up the Radiance. Stat increase here is not quite as large. If you sacrifice a Radiant Guardian, it will return Radiant Souls. We'll get the whole chart out on all the math of this. Some of it is like on the grand arc of players' path from beginning of the game to the end. Essentially, you're going to be going to Enlightened Guardians for your first months of play in most cases, with Radiance being a very secondary system. Over time, as you max out the enlightenment of Guardians, Radiance is that last sort of like tier of progress in your individual Guardians. Early adopter heroes. Will all early adopter legendary heroes be available at launch? All of the EA legendary heroes will be playable at launch. The last thing I did before I left Shanghai was complete the translation work on all of their skills and did a run through of all of the skills for like balance and whatnot. So yes, all of those are in. Trailer. When will we see the trailer for the game? We are releasing the trailer in conjunction with global launch on May 15th. We have organized a global launch event to celebrate this launch with community and media. Official event announcement should be later today, but here is a quick preview. Right. Next, esports partnership marketing that I talked about previously. Yeah, essentially, I've got calls on with the esports teams and multiple media outlets next week to basically walk them through Guild of Guardians. They will have testnet access to basically play the build, go through, answer questions in preparation to help market the launch of the game. And yeah, oh boy, next week is going to be a crazy one for me because time zones, I will be in early morning calls and late night calls to get all of these across. So Loopy Clay will be in full effect. Dequest and Passport integration. Essentially, do you have an ETA on the Dequest and Passport integration? If that happens after launch, there is a problem because many will burn heroes to enlighten others, and amount of Dequest tasks will be reduced. Currently targeting May 7th for integration completion. That may slip, but should still be within the window we want, because yes, this needs to happen before global launch for a whole raft of reasons. But while we wait, because you can add your passport into the mix, definitely start performing those tasks now. Dual account policy. Do you guys ban dual accounts or will you allow multiple accounts? So the terms and conditions are being updated for global launch, and abusing multiple accounts will definitely be cause for a ban. But it is complicated, as are cases where multiple accounts on a device could be legitimate. Very simple one is just multiple family members on an account. Not everybody has their own phone. Sometimes in families, multiple people will use the same one. Uh, at a base level, though, if you are the same person, you cannot. This means that if a family is using an account, there is a good chance that they could be banned and require submitting a support ticket to basically get unbanned. If you're using multiple accounts, you are basically going to be targeted by systems to be banned. The worse this gets, the more likely any system is going to trigger you. I can say from just testing of these systems that my account got flagged because I use my personal account on my device when I'm testing basically with mainnet NFTs, and I use an immutable passport account when I'm using on testnet. So my device has both, and it was flagged. So if you're trying to optimize, at your own risk, you can do so. If you're doing it across multiple phones, it is harder to detect, but even there, that is the power of blockchain. If we see, some of the degenerate behaviors that we know exist that can happen in terms of running multiple accounts on multiple devices and, farming up, we will detect those things. And if it is abuse of the systems to take an unfair advantage, we will ban you. One account, multiple devices, absolutely no problem. Play it on as many devices as you want. I've got multiple devices I play on for testing, and that is totally fine. Guild transfer of ownership. What is the process for a guild being sold to a new owner? How is this transfer of ownership reflected in game? Has this been tested? So essentially, the owner of the guild token is always the guild leader. This is the only way the system can work. So if the gold token is sold to a new player, then the new owner of the token becomes the guild leader. Yes, the system has been tested, and it will keep getting tested. This is probably one of the most edge casey of just having everything in sync and the nature of sort of like lag update of these things. If anything could break, this is probably one of the cases that could. But yes, we have successfully transferred guild token ownership. And what this means long term too is if I have run a guild, my guild token has everything associated with it when it comes to like crafted artifacts and like how revenue flows back to that. It goes to the token, not to the person. So when we get there, it'll also be an adventure in terms of ed cases as that transfer happens, but we'll get there. Language localization. Do you have plans for a Brazilian Portuguese version of the game? So good news on the translation front is for global launch, we have the master translation document, and it is absolutely massive. We are using this to basically translate everything from the Mandarin into what MindLoader does, run it through a translator AI, to us actually cleaning it up. It is a lot. We're going to have our work cut out for us over the next couple of weeks, especially on all the new systems that have come through with brand new text to translate. The next step is from English to the rest of the languages. When it comes to regions, though, like I cannot commit to Brazilian Portuguese. Like eFigs is pretty natural. But a lot of it is going to come down to which regions we want to localize first in terms of marketing and tactics and analytics. And some of this comes down to like where we can win. Often with games, they will be popular in certain regions where they hit for whatever reasons and not others. There is a good chance that we will localize for some emerging markets as well, depending on some of the partnerships that we're working on. So this could mean like Indonesia, Malaysia, even Africa is on the table. But Brazil is a place that makes a ton of sense for us to target. Can one owner manage multiple guilds? I don't know. Sorry, it's not. I don't know, but I believe the answer is no. Essentially, you can pull one guild token into your active inventory. Okay, that's one I need to run through myself. Because in the game, for a passport account, like in the game, you can only manage one guild at a time. I need to go look at that edge case. I will get through that and let you know. And cool to see the Brazilian flags in chat. When it comes to that, this is also where I would say, like, back in that multiple accounts, like if you were looking at being a guild leader across multiple guild tokens, that is something that I would be happy to talk through with people to allow, you know, multiple accounts essentially. Guild tags. Will joining a guild automatically add a guild tag to a user's name, or will we need to put guild tags in our name in-game? Not currently. So if you want your guild tag in your name, you'll have to have it in your name when you enter it. Each guild has its own emblem. Having guild members show up with an emblem is also a possibility. Particularly though with character limitations, what we would need to do otherwise is shorten the number of characters to reserve like maximum guild tags. So yes, I would say enter in your guild tags with your name itself if you want those to show up. Energy and energy booster. So we went over this in the last town hall. Things have changed slightly and may change more once we get to launch. But essentially, with the change to tickets, energy replenishes constantly for crafting and adventure, and then we have tickets which refresh daily. So founders, if you've got the energy booster, you will have additional energy cap in adventure. You will have additional crafting energy cap. You will have faster adventure energy regen and faster crafting energy regen. And then free tickets to Endless Arena and Boss Rush. So essentially, when you go to, you will have your same cap of tickets as everyone else when it comes to those competitive modes. But you will get a free bonus ticket that you can purchase. The bonus ticket can be purchasable by others to basically keep things fair. So in some ways, the energy booster is like you can buy like a season pass in a lot of mobile games where you get free access to the bonus tickets. This is something that we're going to keep evaluating through the leaderboard through weeks 1 and 2, and we will adjust. I didn't set the 9%. I'm the messenger. I don't know why 9% and not 10. But I think the energy booster overall does provide a big advantage over those that don't have it. I have been wanting to pick up an energy NFT myself, but wanted to wait until essentially this became public to do so, no insider trading and all of that. But that is on my list. Particularly the crafting energy regen. There's a lot more crafting going on in the latest version of the game. Leaderboards. How many leaderboards will there be, and will all reward GOG tokens? Example, Endless, Boss Rush, PvP. And how will those rewards be distributed? Full details will be coming out in a marketing notice, which will cover the, I hope, hype and excitement around what we're going to be doing there. But essentially, to go over the system, we've got 3 primary leaderboards. We've got Endless, we've got Arena, and Boss Rush. In Endless, up to half of our active players will be eligible for some form of GOG token rewards, so this diminishes significantly towards the bottom end of the scale. A lot of the rewards are in the top portion of the Endless leaderboards. And these are mostly skewed towards the end of a 4-week season. Yeah. Arena and Bosphorus are the other ones. These, instead of being a 4-week season, will be 1 week. And they will primarily give Web 2 rewards, but the very top players will be eligible for token rewards and basically special limited edition NFT prizes. And Boss Rush, for instance, won't necessarily always be active, and Boss Rush may also alternate with essentially special events. It also might be up all the time, we'll see. But the other thing in the mix here will be special events, which will take basically one of these systems and be targeted for unique rule permutations and special rewards. Earning GOG. How do we earn GOG at global launch? So essentially, placing on the GOG on GOG's leaderboards will be a source of GOG in the game. Doing quests out of game and the active staking portal to follow post-launch will be ways to earn GOG. I guess that's not a global launch, so not quite asking the question, but for the future. The way we're looking to do this at the moment is in phase 1, essentially May 15th to May 26th. The top rewards will be Ascension seals, which we think are going to be quite valuable. This will allow people to mint and to enlighten, to craft crack hearts, all sorts of key things that will be really important in the initial push of the game, and also will allow key sort of testing and validation during that period. And then we go big in phase 2. Once people have basically gotten into the game, they've had a chance to level up their guardians, people have established their squads. In phase 2, we go into the big GOG rewards for top players, with endless seasons and rewards being in GOG. If you don't play in phase 1 to acquire the Ascension seals to level things up, it will be very difficult to be competitive in phase 2. The other thing, the other reason for this is that delay in Ascension seal purchasing. We want to make sure that there is that utility for GOG when we go to distribute it. The thing that we don't want to do is distribute a bunch of GOG with the only thing you can be to use it to essentially cash out. Though we know that some will. We want to make sure that there's that utility in the mix. All of this will come out in marketing announcement when people talk about marketing when. We've got a lot planned on this front. I think it will make some waves. But yeah, we shall see exactly where that goes from here. Cool. Closing thoughts before we go to questions, and I've tried to reserve some time for questions here at the end. There was too much scroll. I was not able to keep it all in my head, so I will need people to drop new questions in once I finish my closing thoughts. Don't put them in now, because I'm not going to read them until I'm done. Wow. So almost 15 months to the day that we signed MindLoader. We're in the final 2-week push to global launch. I can say as your game director that this has been one of the most insane projects of my very long career in games. And, empathy to the like, why is this basic feature not in? I feel ya. Some of it in like Discord is a fine alternative at the moment, and you can announce your guild's Discord to be able to chat. It's not ideal, but there's a workaround. But like when I stepped up to the plate to take over GOG, I've never been presented with a more complex matrix of requirements in any game I've ever worked on. From all of the original NFT sales, the suite of Guardians that already existed, the promises that had been made, the deals with all of the various partners, like the timeline, it was daunting. And looking back now, I'm like, whew, wow, we did it. We did it, my dude. We're going to get this thing live. And playing through on that testnet build, like it's not the game that I originally envisioned, but I'm really happy with what we've ended up with. The story mode is more linear than I would like. It is more of a story mode. It is not quite the roguelike that I had envisioned, but yeah, talking with Josiah and Mindloader, getting a true roguelike version of a dungeon run for PvE is still something I very much would like to do in live operations. There's still elements there, like runes primarily, but I think the room choice is not where I wanted to be. Crafting, not quite what I expected either. But it's at this point as I play through, it's something that when I get my notification that I've got the crafting energy, I go in and I'm able to like get through and get out of sort of in the sequence that I'm really enjoying. And we've got a product that in the grand scheme of like Web 2 and Web 3 games is really nicely polished at launch. It's really visually there. There's still more that we can do. I don't think I've ever launched a game, and GOG is certainly not an exception, where there's not features on the cutting room floor or polish that I would love to do. But I'm really happy with where we're at. And now we're up to the most challenging part of any game release, which is release itself. And we've got the pieces in play. From where we were at building initially on Stark X to like transfer over to ZKVM, like things are moving smoothly. And I think probably the thing I had the least vision on in the beginning compared to where we're at now is that Web3 integration. And with the evolution of Passport, like as a player, moving away from calling things, minting energy, into, just more gamer terms. Like I think we can provide a pretty seamless experience for people that does guide them into the greater world of Web3. That is yet to be proven, but holy cow, we're here. So much left on the roadmap, but we definitely have more than was in the original plan too. Guilds will be in their infancy at launch, but they'll be in, which was not the original plan. And we've got more Guardians in the mix than I think I originally thought we were going to have. But like going into the different systems now, I think some of what I really enjoyed going through in the Grand Pass of Guardian Balance was like seeing the places where certain Guardians are going to excel more in PvP, more in like PvE, others in Endless, others in Boss Rush. And like, I still think in the first couple of months of launch, you're just going to see people pick their primary squad and that's who they're going to use. But over time, it provides space for a lot of like direction and customization. Thank you so much for coming with me on this crazy journey. We've got a lot left to go, but yeah, it's here. It's going to happen. All right, I'd said I would not scroll back, but let's go look at some of the question.
Yeah, I think I remember one that was about guild power, like looking for clarification about what you meant by guild power earlier.
Yeah, so guild power, essentially, if you belong to a guild, guilds will be, like this is a very standard thing in mobile games. If you're part of a guild, the guild will be able to take guild resources to unlock power-ups. So everybody in the guild, gets bonus percentage to attack, as an example. Bonus percentage to a defense. So people in guilds will have more power than those who don't. Do you have the questions queued up, Ryan, or should I read?
I don't have them queued up at the moment, but there are some fresh ones coming in as we speak.
Cool. Darkador, it feels like GOG token has a problem of missing utility. What are the confirmed uses for the token? Even Ascension to convert in NFTs is possible to do with in-app payment. That does not involve GOG. Any words on that? So it doesn't involve GOG directly, but essentially the minting energy will be used, to buy back GOG to distribute into rewards. it's not as simple as just using the GOG directly, but we're working around the challenges of the mobile space at the moment. Perhaps that will change over time as the tech becomes more mainstream. People become more comfortable with those direct integrations. But it's more a challenge of like where we're at, and it's something that's going to continue to grow and evolve, even in the little places, like in the altar with Cracked Hearts, having GOG be a part of those. As we get more of those systems and components online, that should continue to evolve. There are other ideas that got on the back burner. We'll see if they come into play. And I agree. It's not like everywhere, but it's there. Yeah, I cannot speak fully to marketing. So I don't know, Ryan, if you wanted to say anything there, but like there'll be more.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Shattered Name is available at the moment to get on stage, but I think I can definitely relay the message to her, and we can gather around as a team and potentially answer that question via text.
Cool.
Oh, wait. I think she actually did mention she's happy to jump in just now, so we can actually add her into the stage. Maybe that works. Give Clay a bit of a break from speaking, if you're okay with that, Clay.
Sure.
Awesome. She's on stage. Welcome, Shadow Dame. It's funny calling her that.
It's been a long time. Is my mic working well? Is everybody able to hear me?
Yep, nice and clear.
Awesome. Yeah, I know everybody has a lot of questions around marketing. The team has been working hard behind the scenes. We've actually had new members join us over the last 6 months. We have 3 new members that we're really excited to share with you all. But we're all really heads down on launch. So thank you for your patience with us. We have been in the works working towards this May 15th launch, right? We have influencer engagements going through, media briefings happening next week. Right, our trailer is done, and a lot of our content is, finalizing across the space as well. Obviously, we have partnerships across both Web 2 and Web 3 that we're working towards, right? Esports is one that I think came up as a question today. We have been in production with them. They have been producing some content for their channels. We have some pro players committed as well. I haven't gotten the permission to share who they are, but some of the names start with M. So have fun figuring that out. And for Web3 as well, we are in talks with obviously guilds across the various ecosystem. We're actually running a roadshow with YGG in Philippines right now, where players can actually sign up and pre-order for Guild of Guardians, and obviously some of our other games across Immutable Studio. And if you've also seen, today we've announced Immutable's partnership with One Protocol. I know that has also come up as a suggestion. So we've been taking a lot of conversations, but don't think of May 15th as our final finishing point. This is just our starting point, and we're getting started, and we have a lot of other partnerships slated for the month of launch and after as well, right? So we haven't really shouted out a lot, but actually throughout our regional test launch, we've been quietly testing and iterating, making sure that we're A/B testing our flows, A/B testing our creatives, and we've actually gotten over 20,000 Web 2 players into the game during our regional test launch, right? And we've been very conservative with our approach here, but we've been also through that bringing in a lot of learnings that allow us to optimize our paid user acquisition, which we have a sizable budget for at launch, right? And this is going to be important because to bring in and meet our goal of onboarding millions of players, especially crossing the chasm to the mainstream, we want to be able to reach them, and the biggest lever and channel to reach Web 2 players are definitely going to be, the major platforms like Meta, Google, TikTok. We've also been actually doing some testing for other channels as well, such as Web3. If you're looking at like Pixel Tips, you might have seen some of our Planet ads. So a lot of moving pieces, a lot of things coming through. We have more information to come on like the reset, obviously, the leaderboards. We're just waiting for the teams to finalize the details, and then we'll share them with you as soon as possible. So keep your recommendations coming, and we are super hyped up and for launch. Thank you all.
Awesome. That was a great rundown. Shadow Dame. Sorry, guys, I'm just laughing because calling her by that username still makes me laugh. But yeah, guys, raise a hand said in the chat, Shadow Dame is ready to rock and roll. Yeah, there's a lot in the pipes. Team's been working hard. And yeah, thanks for that rundown. Just reading some other questions as well.
Yeah, the really challenging one is the multi guild tokens. I'm thinking through all of the systems on that one, and like in-app delegation starts getting really messy really fast, because the source of truth is the token, and if we allow delegation, the token is no longer the source of truth. I don't think in-game delegation would work. I think when I look at the problem, and like just how Passport is set up, like I'll go back to the Passport team, but what we're really looking at is being able to like link a MetaMask or other sort of like wallet as like a delegate wallet, where they don't have control over it, but they could take advantage of it, because like that's already inherent to like if you've got your Guardians or your guild tokens in a MetaMask account, like you can use them in the game, but you can't actually do anything with them in terms of like enlightenment burning, blah blah blah. I'm gonna have to come back with like what we could do there. Yeah, so leave that with me. In terms of like, is a guild needed? Like the game, and I think like anybody who's played in regional test, like you can absolutely play through all of the game content, as a free-to-play player. Like there's nothing required. All of the Web3 elements, though, they're additive into the mix. Like, could you be the very top player without being in a guild? Actually, probably. If you're willing to go deep down the Enlightenment Radiance path, really like focus on like gear optimization, all of those things. But the guilds definitely provide an edge. It's not meant to be insurmountable, but it will provide an edge. Really quick, I saw Woody's ask questions on like free and premium banners work relatively the same in the launch version. We're currently working through with the economy team exactly what future Web3 banners will look like. In addition to like how they link through to like the free and the premium banners, but they should work relatively similar at launch in game to how they did during regional test launch. The biggest thing is most Guardians that are in the premium banners will not move to the Evergreen pool immediately. A few of our launch heroes will pretty quickly, or actually they may already be part of it. But like future banners, those premium banners will be recycled, and it won't be until later, or perhaps never in some cases, that they move into the free pool. And we are over, and I am late for next meeting. Let me see if there are any I can answer really, really quick. So, because that's come up other times, I tackled it in the last town hall, but when it comes to the reset for global launch, I want to be clear that everything is being reset. Any Guardians acquired via Web 2 are gone. Any progress is gone. It is a complete reset to create a level playing field for global launch. The thing we will be restoring is any in-app purchases that were made with fiat will be restored at launch, but everything else will be wiped. Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, folks. As ever, you've been an amazing community throughout this journey. You've given great feedback along the way. We wouldn't have things like Cracked Hearts if it wasn't for all of the amazing feedback that you've been providing us as we've gone. And the game would have a very different shape and look as we've gone through, Beautiful Corner and Friends and Family and all of these town halls. If it had been a different set of people, like you guys have been a key part of this process. Hopefully the town halls along the way have helped give you insight into this mad mix that is game development. And we are just getting started. We have a lot more to go over the course of the year and beyond. And one final parting thought. I want to be really clear to you after coming back from Shanghai that GOG has been built for the future. We learned so many lessons with Gods Unchained. I've learned so many lessons throughout my career, and it is a game that is meant to be iterated on. It's meant to be expanded on, and we've set an amazing foundation. So when it comes to those future features, we're going to be working really closely with MindLoader to continually roll those out, and that continual evolution of the product is something that I know the team is really looking forward to cracking in with all of you as well. All right. Cheers.
Awesome play. Thanks for the town hall, and thanks everyone for joining today.